Good afternoon from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans are off the practice field. Ben Jones, Taylor Lewan, Bud Dupree, Elijah Molden, and Jeffrey Simmons did not practice today. And a surprise announcement for Titan safety Kevin Byard after practice and after his press conference, as MTSU President Sidney McPhee and head coach Rick Stockstill were in attendance to surprise KB and let him know his number 20 will be the second number ever retired in MTSU football history. There will be football on your television tonight for the first time in the 2022 NFL preseason. Jaguars and Raiders playing the Hall of Fame game in Canton. Multiple starters, such as Jags quarterback Trevor Lawrence, will not play. Kickoff tonight at 7 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Let's get it started, Blaine and Mickey, on a Thursday today, and not in the studio. We are in one of the coolest buildings in downtown Nashville, the Bridgestone Firestone. I'm going to call it the Tower because it is an amazing tower. Now, we'll tell you all about this place, and we're here talking about Music City Grand Prix and tires made out of plants and all sort of stuff today, but we're actually going to start the show with a Titan. Teair Tart is on the line.
Oh, my.
The big guy. Let's bring
Tart.
him on in on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, Mr. Teair Tart. How in the world are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. Man.
Hey, let me ask you this. How's camp going for you? Seeing you make a lot of plays out there, it's been fun to watch you and the defense show up day after day. How do you feel like camp is going so far for you and for the Titans defense?
I mean, I feel like the camp is definitely going really well. I mean, we're definitely focused on improving and just working on the fundamentals and just trying to get in the best conditions as possible to perform.
Who's the guy that gives you the toughest time out there? I'm always curious, is there a guy who you think, oh, man, this guy again, I'm going to have to get him today? Is there somebody who gives you the most trouble out there every day?
No.
Nobody gives Teair Tart trouble. He's joining Blaine and me right now on Blaine and Mickey.
Hey, Teair, man, I guess kind of, talk about your first camp, to where you are today. I remember Vrabel getting after you a little bit, and I said, hey, man, it's a good thing that coaches are talking to players. If not, they don't believe in you, and if they see something maybe you don't even see. So kind of take us through that maturation process in your first camp to today.
I feel like definitely when my first camp, I definitely came out here with, I had to consistently prove myself. I mean, I still feel like I have to do now, though, but I feel like everything was so new. And learning how to be a professional, I feel like that was definitely a big learning curve for me. So, I mean, I feel like the more I learn how to be a professional, the more things slow down for me.
Mm-hmm. Was the game a lot faster, or what was the difference when you first got to the league and from college?
Well, I mean, I feel like the game was faster, but it was just the large amount of information that I had to consume. And then being able to apply it and being in the same system, obviously, like going on my third year now, that it's like I'm familiar with the information. I know what was expected, and I know how to go out there and put it on the field.
No doubt. I have a lot of respect for you guys in the trenches, especially there at the nose, D tackle. You're in a lot of the action there. I guess, do players still kind of do, let's say, dirty stuff, in the inside the trench? Give us a little insight of something, you would consider dirty. Because, man, if somebody just throwing it, 5 at my knees, that would consider dirty to me. But what do you think about how the league is kind of progressed and what is considered dirty now in the trenches?
I mean, I'm not entirely sure if I understand that question.
Well, I mean, do you feel like you get – I'm not telling you to name names, but have you gotten illegally blocked and you got pissed off and then you wanted to just, knee somebody in the throat or, punch them on the bottom of a pile in the gut?
I mean, I feel like everybody's out there competing. Everybody's moving full speed. So, accidents happen. It occurs. We're all human. We're imperfect. So, you're obviously out there, you're going hard. You're moving fast. So sometimes accidents occur.
Man, I know you're a big guy in the trenches, but, man, people underestimate how athletic you guys are. Have you changed anything about your training? And what do you do for, like, cardio conditioning in an off season? I think people would love to hear that because in a 10 to 15-yard frame, you guys could run with anybody, even the skilled guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's a lot of agility work, a lot of quick movements, quick tempo, quick foot movement. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar to like DB drills and stuff like that, just to try to keep your feet moving really quick and fast.
Gassers or sprints or anything like that? What do the big guys do to stay in shape?
Yeah, I mean, we do gassers, 110s, half gassers, full gassers. Sometimes we go run and play some basketball. So.
Yes, we are with Teair Tart, Titans defensive lineman.
So, Teair, it was interesting reading your story. You wound up at FIU and had a real nice couple of years there to finish your career, but it was kind of a long and winding road for you to get there.
Mm-hmm.
What was that grind like to try to find that right spot to showcase your talents and keep your football career going?
I mean, it was a difficult one, but as I feel like you overcome more adversities, you become stronger. Your character becomes stronger, and your resolve becomes stronger. So, I looked at every obstacle that I've been through as just, I looked at every school that I've been through as a chance to overcome adversity and just become a better person and a better football player too.
I would imagine, though, you get to the Titans, you're an undrafted free agent, you're trying to get noticed, you're trying to make the most of every rep. That resolve that you developed along the way to FIU, that probably came in really handy, right?
Yeah, for sure. As a rookie, everything's just such a rush. So, yeah.
Guys that you leaned on that were like, hey, Rook, let me show you this. Hey, Rook, let me help you with this. Were there guys who were helpful to you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely Daquan Jones. He was a big factor. I had 1,000,001 questions for him when I got here, and he really took the time out to really help me understand and how to be a professional. And my coach, Coach T, he took a lot of time. He took a lot of time and just really grinded it out with me. Jeff put in some good amount of work too. So just looking at older veteran guys. Even Ben Jones, the center. He's been on the team, I think 12 years now, and I was like, when I got here, I think it was 9. So I was like, well, how can I get to year 9? Like him. So I kind of followed similar routines, just trying to develop that professional mentality.
Teair Tart on with us here on Blaine and Mickey, Titans defensive lineman.
Well, you're talking about some of the guys in the trenches on the Titans team. Who would you say is the toughest guy? I'm just stay on the defensive side since you're working with most of those guys that you've seen, whether it's playing with an injury or practicing or just whatever it may be. Who would you say is on that tough front?
It's really hard to pick out one person because everybody goes through adversity. Everybody battles. Everybody's out there fighting. So I mean, we're all one unit. So we're all battling something at some point. So, I mean, I really can't single out one individual.
But you can single out an individual that's kind of in the D-line room that's a kind of a prankster. Who's the prankster or the jokester guy who's always cracking jokes and laughing?
Who's always cracking jokes? Some people would say it'd be me. I mean, I'm always down. I'm always willing to have some fun, so.
Oh man, we're with Teair Tart, Titans defensive lineman. I guess one of the things that you had last year, you had a few nicks and some injuries along the way. Were there any things that you did differently this offseason to kind of continue to grow into that maturation, being a pro, and now what expectations are? What did you do differently, or did you do anything different?
Like I said, I followed some of the veterans. Obviously they've been in the league for a while, so just conversating with them, developing the proper routine, understanding the injury and how to build it back up, and just how to just get back to being on a good path of improvement.
All right. Lastly, I get this question everywhere I go, Teair. and that is take us through a day of what you eat.
Surprisingly,
People be surprised though. I probably would eat more than you do. Okay, give us the lowdown.
surprisingly, I really don't eat that much. Honestly, I mean, I'll go do the regular, probably like one egg, little hash browns, 2 sausages for breakfast. Just get enough energy to get on the field. And I had a acai bowl, which is really good. And lunch, we just had had some grilled chicken with some veggies. So.
What are you gonna have typically for dinner?
Huh?
What do you typically have for dinner?
Oh, salmon. I love salmon.
Oh, okay, salmon. So before we let you go, Teair Tart, I want you to tell us height and weight, and then we'll let you go.
6'3", about 320.
Oh, okay.
Same as me.
Yeah.
Hey, West Philadelphia, born and raised.
Oh,
Teair
West
Tart. His bio
Philadelphia.
from FIU said that. It made me sing the song. Hey, Teair, we know you got a team meeting. Thanks for the time today, buddy. Good luck in camp and good luck this season.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tighten up.
Appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
His bio at FIU, the first line of his bio, West Philadelphia, born and raised.
Oh, my.
He's the Fresh Prince of the Titans.
Oh, my. Yeah, Philly is rough over there. That's rocky.
Isn't it's funny to have him on and talk to him because it came up that he was getting yelled at one day. Like, they're always yelling at Teair Tart. And you said, well, that's good for him.
That's good
that
for
means
him.
they think he's good.
Yeah, that they wouldn't be working because, he was an undrafted guy. And for somebody really to be paying attention to an undrafted guy, that means he's showing some promise and you see some things in him before he even sees it. He's going through a lot of changes and disruption. But when you're a big guy like that in the trenches, there's a lot of things you have to learn that maybe he just relied on his talent. And now you get in the league, you're not going to be able to do certain things. So I'm glad it all worked out for him because he definitely showed some promise. Whenever you have a big guy that can move like that, it's pretty impressive. And I think people underestimate how really fast some of these big guys are. They just see the big old gut and they just think these guys are out of shape. They need that mass, and they can actually, in a 10 to 15-yard sprint, they can run with anybody for a short period of time, for sure. As we've seen, at least the elite, like Big Jeff.
Gosh.
Teair maybe more like 5 yard, 5'10".
But those 5 yards, really explosive.
Yeah. Boy, it's crazy, too, when they come a hunting. You can hear them steps coming. Ooh, it gets scary. Like, I'm getting down.
All right, the Music City Grand Prix is this weekend. Of course, Bridgestone, Firestone, a big partner of Nashville. You see this building anytime you're anywhere close to downtown. That's where we're broadcasting today. We're sitting next to an Indy race car, and next we will have an Indy car driver who's going to join us, Graham Rahal. You know him of the famous Rahal racing family. He will be driving on the streets of Nashville on Firestone tires this weekend, and he will join us next right here on Blaine and Mickey. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Happy Thursday to you. We are live from the Bridgestone Firestone Tower in downtown Nashville. Just a fantastic facility. We're going to see, these just amazing machines. We got an IndyCar parked behind us in the lobby here.
Oh, that looks so sweet,
We'll see
man.
these things rolling through the
I could
streets
not fit in there.
of Nashville this weekend. Well, a guy who's going to be fitting into those things, Graham Rahal, joins us now. Graham, how in the world are you doing today? Welcome into the Blaine and Mickey show.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm doing good. We're on our way down there right now. We're excited for the weekend ahead. I think last year was a tremendous, kickoff for the Music City Grand Prix, and this year we're excited to see take two and see the improvements and, be down there to put on a good show for everybody.
Now, this is more of a personal thing, but I'm always curious for professional athletes because people always they go, oh, you travel here and there and everywhere. When you go to cities, like when you come to Nashville, do you get to sneak out and enjoy any nightlife or cool restaurants or anything like that, or you just in your hauler with your game face on the whole time?
No, actually, down here I actually just even, just stay at a hotel. We don't need to bring the motorhomes in a place like this when you've got all the great places to go and stay and eat and everything else in town. It's best to do that versus, stay in the bus. Obviously, when we race in certain places, like we were in Iowa a couple weeks ago, when you're racing out there, staying in the motorhome is the best path. But, no, I would say I don't get out a ton. I mean, every night we'll go to dinner somewhere different. But it's a little challenging on the busy weekends. Tonight, actually, I get to go to a sponsor's house down in Leapers Fork area, which is about heaven to me. I've tried heavily to convince my wife that that's where we need to end up. But it's a great city. The nightlife is clearly a big part of it. What makes this place so much fun. A lot of youth, which is great for our sport, and trying to build that audience in the future. But it's I think our series has had so much success with street races like this because of the way that the setup is and being able to bring the party, sort of to the people in that regard. Nashville's got about the perfect setup, clearly running around where the Titans play and being able to walk to the end of Broadway and just over the bridge and bam, you're at the racetrack. Pretty unique in that regard. So it's definitely cool to be here.
Absolutely. Graham Rahal, our guest. He's at Graham Rahal on Twitter. IndyCar driver Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing, getting ready to come to Nashville and tear it up.
Well, naturally, having that name, Rahal, have you ever felt the pressure to have success sooner than later, or does it not even bother you? Because I'm sure those expectations, maybe you've passed all of that, but where does that come from, or do you even buy into that and you just keep doing your job?
Yeah, you try to just keep doing your thing, but I'd be lying if I said, over the course of my career, it's present, for sure. It always will be. Always has been since I was a little kid. Likely that'll never change, no matter what you accomplish. But it's kind of part of the gig. And, now driving with my dad's team has been great in many ways. And so, we try to just embrace it and make the most of it that we can. I think from a sponsor perspective and so many other things, we add a lot of value in that way that most others don't. But I don't care what your name is, if you're, if you're a musician and your last name's McGraw, obviously you're going to have your hands full, right? So, similar thing for me, and you got to look past it and do the best you can and try to help build the team and build the performance and get better.
So naturally, I went to the Indy 500 all the time, so that's why I was asking you that question, about just the last name and the Rahal and everything else and the pressure and the expectations. But I wanted to follow that into, kind of take us through city racing to Indy 500, kind of take us through what is prepped differently and then how the courses are different. And then is there anything you need to be aware of? How much do you study the course and change the direction and speed? Kind of take us through that whole maturation process for a racer.
Yeah, I mean, they're completely different, right? I mean, when we go to Indianapolis, it's the same every year. The biggest variables in a track like that is going to be, is there new sealers on the track or, track temperatures and things like that. Whereas, Nashville, actually, my first order of business when we arrive, in the next 20 minutes is just going to be to go and walk the racetrack and to see, have we cut down any of the bumps? Is there any new ones that have developed? are all the wall angles the same? So these are things that, if you're a fan watching, you may not even notice, but we can tell because of experience, is the wall 3 degrees, 5 degrees different in angle from what we competed with last year? What evolution has there been just generally with the track year after year? Nashville being such a new street circuit last year, this is clearly year number 2. Things are going to change over time. And clearly with the roads being used and things like that, when we're not racing, that plays a role in the wear and tear on a surface. Whereas like at Indianapolis with the 500, IndyCar is the only thing that runs on the oval. Literally, the Indy 500 is the only race on the oval nowadays. So it doesn't change very much. It's a pretty known quantity year after year. So it's always fun to come to street races because they challenge us so greatly. We'll walk it today, and you get a small sense of what it's going to be. But ultimately, tomorrow when you go out in the car the first time, which I think the first IndyCar session tomorrow is around 3:00, that's when you really find out just how different it may be. And then you don't have a lot of time to react and make the car better. You go and you qualify on Saturday, you race Sunday, so it happens in a hurry. Of course, our goal is to always come here and to run up front. We're in the United Rentals car, number 15 this weekend, and to run up front. We had a great showing last year, albeit such a crazy race, which I'm sure most people remember. So hopefully we can do that and get up front and get a win. It's been a little while for me, but we'd like to get that monkey off our back.
What's the top speed that you get up to in a city race like this? And then naturally you have to know where those places are. And sometimes the dips and turns are really quick, so you got to know the course as you were mentioning. But what's kind of the top speeds, thereabout that you get up to?
I'm going to guess 180 plus. On the back straight, obviously, when we come over the bridge back to turn 8, I believe it is, the fast left-hander at the end of the back straight. And that's where the starts and restarts and all of that stuff are going to take place this year. So great viewing area, highest speed, very, very wide too. So very inviting for passing and some craziness down there. But, I think that's probably the top speed. It's actually one of the faster street courses, for top speed, for max speed. So it's pretty cool place. Last year, like I said, year 1, but I really like the track layout. I know there's challenges that we all face, but every street circuit faces that initially, and I think Nashville will be able to overcome that pretty quickly.
Graham Rahal, our guest IndyCar driver, it is funny because you talked about, in Indy it doesn't change. It's a racetrack, and then literally they're going to shoo the pedal taverns out of the way, and you guys are just going to drive in the same place as there's a tractor pulling a bunch of people around in a wagon, and then you guys race over that. How conscious do you have to be? And we're sitting in the Firestone Tower today, but conscious of your tires on an actual street course that has all the issues that streets have.
Very, 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 very conscious of it. This weekend's actually interesting because this weekend's our first where we're running a green tire as our alternate tire. And when I mean green, it's literally made from a plant in the desert. And Firestone's done a great job to revolutionize kind of the way the tires are made. And we've been very fortunate to have a partner like them and give us the safety and the durability that they have. Clearly, Bridgestone, Firestone based right there, in Nashville, which is really cool. So we're kind of changing the way that the tire game is played this weekend right in front of everybody's eyes. So that'll be pretty cool. That'll be an interesting test to see how it works. I know the Firestone engineers are great at what they do, but I can assure you everybody's probably a little bit nervous to see how it goes, being that that's going to be our alternate tire, our softer, faster tire this weekend, and it'll be the first time anything like that is used. So it'll be cool to do that on their home turf. But we do, I think as the rubber lays down, I do believe there's a lot of on-course action this weekend, which is something that the promoters here, Scott Borchetta, amazing guy, obviously locally with Big Machine and everything they do. He's just he's a massive, massive star, in Nashville there. But Scott is the promoter. He's been a long-time racing fan, enthusiast, and driver himself. And they've done a great job with the schedule to make sure that the fans have got a ton to watch and enjoy. IndyCar is obviously the main show, but a lot of other things for everybody to see. And so the rubber will get laid down pretty quick. The track evolution, the cars will get a lot quicker by the end of the weekend from, say, session number 1. But same for everybody. The challenge remains the same for everybody. And, I think that'll be it'll be cool to be back and to push the limits again.
Rahal, our guest, you mentioned that this course has some wide spots. How does it compare as far as your ability to pass on the Nashville course, maybe to some other places that you guys go and do these road courses?
Oh, I mean, you can pass. You can pass anywhere nowadays, for sure, man. I don't know that we put on a bad race anywhere necessarily. I think tire degradation and they've got a really good combination right now of the cars and the battles that we have, and everybody's so competitive. I mean, all the cars are so close lap time wise. Far more than Formula One or any of the other sports you'll see as far as the competitive nature of the sport, and that means for even better racing. So, the bridges, albeit bumpy on the way back, from sort of the stadium back to downtown, some of the seams in the overpass are very bumpy, but it's the same for everybody, as I just said, and the width of the track allows for a lot of passing. It also creates a lot of incidents from the perspective that it is tight in areas when we get to turn 4, which is basically as we're coming from the stadium back down into downtown, like turn 4 to the left, 5, 6, 7. That whole combination is very, very tight, and and so I think for a lot of people, that's an area that can create some mistakes, but that's what fans like to see, and it provides excitement and really close racing, and hopefully be able to do that again this weekend.
Graham Rahal, our guest, at Graham Rahal on Twitter, IndyCar driver, Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing.
Well, Graham, naturally I'm a football player, so I always used to have a little bit of a hype music. Do you listen to any music beforehand? There's some fun questions here to get you relaxed or into the mood or focused, or do you just don't do anything at all?
No, it's interesting. Our sport's so different in that regard, frankly. Like, people are always shocked, like, when we're getting ready to go race versus playing and stuff, like, the sponsors are on the grid, some of the fans are on the grid, people are talking to you. There's a lot happening in a short period of time, and so it's difficult to kind of get away, frankly, to get time to listen to music or whatever. But, for me, I just try to I'd actually say in some ways try to stay distracted a little bit from the task at hand. I think if you think about it too much, the nerves and all of those things can often create further. I mean, I've been doing it a while too, so I don't get too nervous anymore. But, for instance, on the start of a race, it's there's a lot of different scenarios that can play through your head. And I think the best thing to do is not overthink that. And so for me, I just go out there and do it.
Well, lastly, for the last fun question, if you were given recommendations, you're still young, what car racing show would you have someone watch? What's been your favorite?
Well, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, obviously everybody's very familiar with Drive to Survive on Netflix, for Formula One right now. I think that has brought a lot. I mean, it has brought a lot of attention to their sport. There's still, as in any show, there's a little bit of Hollywood that does come into play there, but they've done a really good job, with that one. I do know IndyCar's been working on a show similarly to that for a long time, and hopefully that'll happen, and then that's the one you need to watch. But I do think that from a realistic standpoint, Drive to Survive has done a good job bringing what the intensity of what we do to life.
All right. This is a fun question, part of the program here. I have to ask you, who is the faster driver in your family, you or your wife?
Well, I was waiting for that one. I mean, she can claim it, I guess. We'll let her have it.
Yes, the former Courtney Force, who's a fantastic drag racer from the first family of drag racing. All right, I have to ask you this because I'm a big racing fan. I have a 7-year-old son. He's completely just immersed in racing. He loves it. And when I hear people talking about sports, I've heard people say, now race drivers aren't athletes. I'll let you answer that, but I'll tell you, I get mad on your behalf when people say that.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. Actually, we're driving down my trainers in the back of the car, so I think he could give you an even more accurate answer. But I definitely think from an intensity standpoint, from a workout perspective, if you look at some of the Whoop data and stuff that the guys put out there, including myself, I think it would answer that question. We do 2 hours or so, and some of the races this year, average heart rate's up over 150 beats, on average, right? So you're seeing peaks of 175 or so, and then valleys under yellows, or maybe even when you're getting ready for a pit stop or something, and you can get a breath, it may come down. But if you look at that average, I think the only comparable thing may be like a marathon runner or something like that. So there's definitely a lot of athleticism that goes into it. The hand-eye coordination, your reactions, and honing all of those skills they become natural after a while, but you certainly always have to stay on top of it, to keep up to par and up to speed, particularly a guy like me. I mean, I'm only 33. I'm still pretty young, but I've been doing this for 16 years now. And, now you got 20-year-old, 21, a lot of these younger people coming in and pushing the limits that have, far less fear apparently than even I do. And so to stay on top of that as well, you've got to be on your game. But I think, as I said, if people go look at some of the data, it's pretty surprising.
How hot and how loud does it get in one of those cars?
Not that loud. The engine's behind us, so the noise is not terrible inside of the car, but the heat is very intense. You can lose, 7, 8, 9 pounds in a race, in a hot summer race of just, obviously water weight, but still, you can lose a lot. So the heat is definitely the most intense part. This weekend, a place like Nashville with the heat that we do expect inside the car, I think I saw 90 or 91 degrees ambient temperature. You're going to see, you got to think it's around 130 degrees inside the cockpit or something. Very, very intense, very hot, and definitely hard to stay locked in.
All right, just one more with Graham Rahal. We are huge football guys here. We talk football. Blaine played 10 years in the NFL. I've watched a lot more than 10 years of NFL football, so I feel, I'm a big football guy too. Ohio State's your squad, is that right? How are they going to do this year? National championship? Are they going to beat some of these SEC teams?
Oh, yeah, my Buckeyes you're talking about? You broke up for a second, but yeah, I'm a diehard Buckeye. So hopefully, being from Columbus, Ohio, for me, that was pretty much my professional team, so to speak. At the time, it's good to see old Joe, Burrow was doing a great job with Cincy at the time. It was just the Buckeyes were life, and so for me, definitely grew up a big fan and still remain that way. But yeah, I mean, hopefully they're good. The SEC's been a thorn in their side for Alabama specifically. Although I guess they split the last two, right? We won in 15, they won 2 years ago or whatever. So hopefully they'll get back there and be able to challenge them again.
Graham, hey, we know you're busy and you're driving down here. Enjoy the weekend in Nashville. Get you a checkered flag, and anytime you're down here, you're always welcome to jump on the show with us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I was just thinking too, though, obviously, and right there in Nashville, you got Coach Rabel, so you got a good Buckeye leading the charge. And Tannehill's been a longtime friend of another guy who raced with us, Brian Hunter Ray. So he's, Tannehill's been an amazing guy every time I've met him. Super, super nice. And, hopefully you guys have a great year.
We need to try to fold Tannehill's big butt or Vrabel into one of those cars and see what they can turn the lap in.
Oh, that won't happen.
Hey, you know what? They can come and ride in the back. Mario Andretti can take them for a ride. And if it's anything like, what's the guy's name? Stormy Warren, I think, on the highway. Mm-hmm. Mario crashed the car with Stormy in the back last year, so he got the full experience. So those guys can take an impact of a different sort.
Yeah. I'll pass on that.
Listen, we'll watch safely from the bleachers. Hey, Graham, drive safe to Nashville and drive safe while you're here, buddy. Thank you for the time.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. Graham Rahal. Follow him at Graham Rahal. Again, part of this Indy circuit. He's on his way to Nashville now. Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. Just going to be a fantastic weekend in Nashville.
Ball State's in there. You heard that. You didn't realize that, right? Letterman. You know who that is?
David Letterman. second most famous Ball State alum besides the one that I work with.
I would put myself in, I don't know, maybe top 5. But, yeah, Whitlock's up there. Well,
He's number 3 behind you. All right, I have a defensive stat from practice today. If my numbers are correct, that it will make Blaine Bishop happy, I will explain next on Blaine and Mickey.
Tannehill threw a pick.
He did do that. Well, we've been telling you about this show for quite some time. It is the coolest thing in the world to be hanging out in the Firestone Bridgestone Tower today in downtown Nashville, just kind of watching the city streets go on around us. All these great Firestone tires hanging in the display. We got a Indy car set up behind us, and it's on these super cool Firestone tires. And you need to be on Firestone tires. You also need to know this. Big party coming Sunday, August 7th, right around the corner. The stage is set for, well, let's be honest, it's the biggest show Music City streets have ever seen, the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. And making its IndyCar debut, we've been talking about it, the Firestone Firehawk race tire with a rubber sidewall made from plants, American-grown plants, just another way Firestone is helping to sustain the sport we love as part of a larger tire family. It's going to help support Bridgestone's E8 commitment to a more sustainable future for all. You want to hear more about the race? Just keep listening to us today. We'll be here until 3 o'clock in this Bridgestone Tower. Firestone, the exclusive tire of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Titans now 7 practices into fall camp. Letting it whip with Mike Vrabel and the crew. A lot of one-on-ones today. A lot of red zone work, some special teams work as they continue to sort through that.
I love
Randy
red zone.
Bullock has been really good. He didn't miss one today. I don't think he missed
from
one
the red
yesterday.
zone?
No, from all over.
Oh, okay,
he's just kicking it from everywhere.
I
But
dare say.
so they get into lower red today, and they're doing one-on-ones.
Ooh, I love the lower red. You know why DB loves lower red?
Because you got things to help you.
Yep,
like
the sideline.
The sidelines and the back of the end zone.
Right, that's the sideline.
Oh, yeah, you got lots of.
I don't have to run very far. So now you got to really beat me. And things happen a lot faster there, so you better be ready.
Oh, it's fast for me to process, even in one-on-one, so I can't imagine what it's like with your heart beating up there trying to figure everything out. But
no, well, when I say fast, I mean things happen fast, not that my heart beats fast.
My heart would be beating fast.
Yeah.
I know you're calm and cool and collected.
No, I like it to be that way, though.
Well,
but then that way the play is over.
How long did it – is this something you figured out at Ball State, or was this more of an NFL thing where you were like, wait a second, I got all these sidelines. This is a small space. I can keep – I mean, we're all in here together.
Well, for me, I was always looking for all the help I could get. So whether it was at Ball State or here, I was always being a corner in college. I was always using the sideline. Mm-hmm. So I had a great understanding. I had a great coach in Rick Minner, who's, I don't know if people know him. He's coached in the SEC at Kentucky. He's been a head coach at Cincinnati. He's bounced around now. He's at Michigan. His son last year was the DC for Vanderbilt, and he always taught us. We did these angle drills. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I used to be like, man, this is horrible. Why am I doing angle drills? So if I was on the backside corner, you're going against a play that was away, you learn how to get there at this, the quickest way to get there. And in your mind, you may not think it's the quickest way, but it is. So that led me to then thinking about other things. That's why I'm bringing it up, about where my angles could help me, whether I was playing safety or if I'm always keen and aware of where the first down markers are to the sidelines, especially when you're talking about in the league when all the open field tackling is so hard because the guys are so exceptionally explosive, change the direction. So you got to be very patient at the same time aggressive, which is hard to do, and it's hard to meet that happy medium. So in the beginning, I was up there whiffing people because I was trying to knock them out. Well, at the same time, I had to learn to be patient and let them commit to something, then use the sideline, then make it a play. That's an extra man. And I think a lot of players still today don't understand how you can use the sideline as an extra man.
I've learned that because you've taught me that. So if I could go back and play again, of course, I'd understand sideline angles much better now. Where number 84.
Well, that's a lot. When you're the 4-5 guy and everybody else is like 4-4-4-3, you better learn every
I was
cheat.
a 5-4 guy.
Stop that.
So red zone one-on-ones today.
Oh, I loved it, though. I love red zone one-on-one.
I went back and I counted like how many red zone. 28 plays they ran red zone one-on-ones.
Dang,
it went on forever. Multiple reps for everybody. How many balls do you think they could, not just touchdowns, how many out of 28, this is one-on-one.
Talking about completion?
Completions of 28 in the red zone.
If I was guessing, naturally one-on-ones always favors the offense. So you got to say, okay, that puts you at least 50-50. So I'm going to go 68% that they completed. I have no idea what your tabulation was, and I didn't even see. I was not out there at practice today. Was there a couple days ago, so I'll be there tomorrow. What were they? Were they higher than 68, 70%?
Defense, over 50%. There were 15 incompletions on 28 plays, so more than 50%. The defense won those plays.
Oh, okay.
And like you always tell me, hey, man, it's not even designed for the defense to be successful. It's one guy running from one guy.
Right. Well, it is, but in the red zone, it evens the playing field because things happen faster and they don't have so much real estate to run routes. Now, You can run across the field as far as running routes in one-on-ones, but typically if you're a wide receiver, slot guy, on the outside or inside, you're not running a lot of crossing routes. You'll run the slot of maybe run some crossing routes. So only thing like the outside players, I've already narrowed down the route. See, that's what I did when I was a player. You're the outside guy because I lined up outside a lot, especially when they tried to put the tight ends out there, or if we in goal line, then they split the receiver out. I'm the guy out there. So you got to understand they're running the fade, they're running the dig, they're running the slant. So you take the fade and the slant away. Got to take the slant away first. Got to think about all these things and then force him to throw the fade and be a perfect throw and make the guy jump over you to make the play. So which means it's a spectacular play, and I can live with that. Now on the outside also, you're thinking about his release. If he releases inside and the inside stems, you convert. If he beats you inside because there's a lot of space there, then you convert to outside leverage and you play everything outside. Don't get impatient when he gives you that little stutter step at the top of the route, because he could be going in or out. Wait till he commits and then you break, and hopefully there's, in a real live game, there's traffic where they have to throw the ball, but you may be a half a step behind. So eventually I still think it favors the offense a little bit, but defense definitely has a better shot of making some plays in the red zone.
It is interesting to watch down there, like you said, to watch guys who are that fast work in a limited area.
Yeah.
And at one point, John Robinson was standing there watching, and he told people, hey, y'all need to get back. They're going to get here faster than you ever realized. So he told some of the fans, hey, just y'all go ahead and move back a little bit out of the way. Things happen.
That's what people have no idea. But when you're watching on the stands, you can't see it, or watching on TV, like how fast somebody's running or how hard they got hit. All these things happen, and it's a blink of an eye. Yeah, so things happen really fast down there, and he's right. It's almost like if you're on the sideline and they got the ball right there, be aware that hey, if they throw a route this way, it's going to happen really fast. You better get out the way, so step back so you have an edge. It was always fascinating. I lived for the red zone. You have to, your hair on your back as a defensive guy has to rise up, because this is the difference between 7 or 3. Really 6 points or 3 points. So. And hopefully you can get a turnover. I really loved to see it if I can dominate. And another reason why I liked it as a defensive back, I didn't have to backpedal a lot. And remember, I'm a real big believer in you get in the red zone, especially if you get closer. You're saying they were, 10 and in? I have my heels at the edge of the goal line, and as a corner, I'm not moving. To be honest, I'm not. Where am I going? Your goal is to defend the end zone line. Once they get past there, they score. So where do you need to go? So then make them throw it over the top of you. See, so these are another form of angles. So then now when I sit there, I'm taking away the slant, forcing the fade, and anything else. If you start running stems are like how you release. If you hard stem, then I know you either coming back out on the 7 or you running a dig route. What else is there? So you start eliminating things as a veteran player, especially your second and third year, or you're going to be behind 8 ball and you're always going to be chasing. It's like you're playing racquetball in a small room, right? That's where you play racquetball, right? I went in there with Bruce Matthews and said, I'm about to destroy him. I'm going to have him. He ain't going to know what hit him. Well, guess what? The opposite happened. He had me running around with my head cut off, because guess what? He understood the angles and where to hit the ball to make me run around.
Right.
Meanwhile, he hasn't moved hardly any.
The living legend.
So you start learning all these little bitty things that really matter in a game that help you out to make it, to process the information a lot faster and make the game easier.
All right, when we come back, something happened today at Titans training camp that had not happened. This is practice number 7, and something had not happened until today. We'll give you the details next.
We are back. Be bizzle for shizzle with the mixture. This is how I roll, man. We're back here on 104.5 The Zone at the Bridgestone Firestone building, and this is incredible. They got tires up above our head. I'm hoping that the people downtown for the Grand Prix race don't run over us because they see these tires and just think that they can just come on through here and ride on through the city. But, man, Nashville's downtown is going through construction, but you see all the beautiful buildings that are existing, all these glass buildings, and Bridgestone is one of them, man. So just excited to be down here in this building for the first time, me anyway, and seeing where all these nice durable tires are coming from.
I like how you used that's how I roll when we're sitting under a mural made of tires.
Only fitting, right?
And I do like how there's an actual Indy car in here, and Blaine's like, I'm about to get in this thing. They have it plasticed off, but you were like, I couldn't get in anyway.
There's no way I could fit in there, man. I'm a little too broad-shouldered for that.
You want to get – would you sit in a rocket like that you could barely fit in and go 180 miles per hour?
And for, like, long hours?
For 2 hours?
I don't think so. I don't think I could do it.
What did Graham Rahal, you said, what's the fastest you'll go on the course? Didn't he say
180?
Didn't he say 180?
Yeah, he said everybody. Like, that was nothing. I was like, ooh-wee, I don't know, man.
180.
180, yeah. Yeah, just think about another 100 to the 80 that I drive. And that just doesn't put me in a comfortable situation, man. I don't feel comfortable. The things are now getting out of control. So those guys are super skilled, at their profession. And, man, they have to be in some great shape. And, man, exhausting and have to deal with a lot of other issues within their sport, and especially in a city race compared to, just riding an Indy going around in a circle. So, probably. I should have asked him. I wonder what he would have said there, Graham Rahal. Does he like the city racing, or does he like more Indy when going around in the mile? Because there's a lot more variables in the city, but maybe more challenging
too. Yeah.
and fun. But at the same time, you know what you're getting with the circle. I mean, you can kind of predict everything. So some guys like the challenge more because they stay on top of it mentally and they stay focused.
Yeah, Graham Rahal joined us. If you missed the first hour of the program, you will definitely want to go back and check out that interview with him. Really candid guy. He's on his way driving to Nashville now. And, we're asking, do you stay in a hauler? Because you think about race car drivers, they got the truck that hauls their cars and they got the part where they sleep. He goes,
the RVs.
He's like, oh, no, man, when we come to Nashville, I'd stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
He said, there's too many nice places. And he said,
use Iowa.
He said we were in Iowa for the last race and I slept in the truck there. But he said,
I wanted to say, did you go out and check out that corn?
He might have detasseled some, trying to take your old job.
I was going to ask him, man.
Yeah, but he said that. He wasn't being mean to Iowa. He's like, we were in Iowa. I slept in my truck the hauler. But, no, here I stay in a hotel and walk somewhere nice for dinner every night. Ryan Tannehill's wheels were turning again today for practice for the Tennessee Titans. There's been a lot of talk about him not throwing an interception, and so
finally it happened.
He finally did it today. Of course, Kevin Byard is the one who gets him.
No, it wouldn't have been Kevin Byard.
Kevin Byard is the one who gets him. And there was a group of people standing there, and one of the things I said yesterday on the show was the fact that he hasn't thrown an interception when 66% of his targets from last year are gone. He's got all new people. And everybody
I knew you jinxed him yesterday.
100% I
know we did.
And everybody agreed at the time it looked like he and Hooper just had a slight miscommunication.
Oh, dude.
Where Hooper thought, I'm going to keep going on this route, and Tannehill thought he was going to kind of sit right at the marker. And so looked like a miscommunication issue. Kevin Byard did speak after practice today, and he took us through that play of getting his quarterback for the first time this fall. Here's Kevin Byard.
Great, I've been seeing everybody's writing, Ryan didn't do no picks during practice, so I had to end the street today. But no, man, honestly, Ryan's been doing a great job of, kind of going through our defense. Obviously, being here, obviously on both sides, we kind of understand what teams or what we're trying to do to each other. So he's been doing a great job of being precise on that play, obviously running 2-minute, making sure that, got to go to the field. You end the game with a pick, it's great. So I was able to make a play, kind of a little Robert situation right there. So I was able to read his eyes and make a play on the ball.
It's not often.
Great.
So Kevin Byard was able to get him after practice, Blaine, a contingency of people showed up from Middle Tennessee, and they had a number 20 Middle Tennessee jersey, and they informed Mr. Byard that jersey would be retired.
Wow, man. How long has he been gone? He's only been gone like 7 years, right, or so. Not been that long, but awesome guy. giving back not only in the community of Tennessee but also Middle Tennessee. So well-deserved, exciting time for him and his family, as well as Middle Tennessee. So, yeah, he definitely deserved it. And, he continues on with his success in the National Football League, as well as solidifying himself as the best safety in Titans history. I think this is the year that he does that, and over Michael Griffin. So, I think that's where he'll put him. And then everything else is gravy. I'm sure he won't say it that way, but, well-deserved. And, man, what a heck of a player he's turned out to be, let alone a guy.
You and I were talking a little bit about his game, and for people who don't know, Blaine was multiple times All-Pro and multiple times Pro Bowl as an Oilers/Titan safety.
Yeah,
so,
but I would have dropped that pick, by the way, too. It was my fingers, and then I would have probably been looking at the other guy. He might have hit me in my back. I was like, oh, he double moved me. I'm going to go chase him.
And the thing about Byron, I told you, it was the classic thing where he sort of, and he said it, I was reading the quarterback's eyes, where he's completely stretched out and makes this really, like they were throwing only where he could get it.
Right.
And he's got that ability to stretch out and catch those
I call
passes.
those ball skills in the field as though you are a receiver. Yeah, that part I never did connect. I was more see-ball, hit ball.
You did play
go get the ball.
You did play a season with a club on your hand, though, right?
No,
or several games?
3 seasons.
You played 3 seasons with a club on your hand.
Broke my forearm, broke my hand, and then and everybody knows about my finger, so I had to play with a ball fist cast then with pins in it. Yeah, so 3 seasons. So that just led it to me just see ball, hit ball. Then I was like see ball, hit ball with cast.
You ever just hit one like straight off the end? I bet that didn't feel too good.
I definitely, but not with a ball. When I had my broken forearm, the first game that I played in, it was Adelphia Nissan. It was here. And I don't remember who we were playing, but I really tried to use it as a weapon. I actually did. I tried to use it as a weapon, and as soon as I hit, I don't know if I hit their head or their knee or what, their helmet, I went straight oh my God, and tears came right in my eye. I went, oh my God, I'm never doing it. This is not healed. I was real close to putting my hand up, saying I tapped out. This is useless. Luckily for us, I think we were playing the Giants. I remember we were blowing them out, so I got out of that game pretty quick. Third quarter, I was out. They were like, oh, we're blowing them out. And that was the year they won the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I mean, didn't win the Super Bowl. They went to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
They lost to the Ravens, so that was in 2000.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was when
you
I
should have been in.
Yeah. Don't remind me.
You have a big ring.
But yeah.
From that particular
that was Kerry Collins. He was on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. We stumped those guys.
Oh, I remember that. Remember it well.
It was like 35-10 or something. I don't remember what it was. It was a big score.
Where was your head at this point in camp? You'd had pads on 3 days, like Tannehill throws in interception, and there's really been a lot of back and forth because I was looking through some of my notes. If you're just joining us for the second hour of the program, they did some red zone one-on-ones. The defense got the better of the offense, but yesterday the offense got the better of the defense. The day before that, the defense got it better. Where was your mind as the days kind of started to run together?
Well, as a player, naturally those are all bragging rights, and you want to heighten the moment of professional athletes and football players, who love to compete. So you're always talking about who won, and the coaches are kind of jabbing you too on all that stuff. But you must continue to focus on what you're doing as an individual player and what you're trying to achieve and how you're trying to progress as a player, whether you're in your first or second year or trying to improve on some of your techniques or whatever your position is to get better at it. And if it's showing up through all the off-season work on you looking better than you did the previous version of who you were. So those are the things I was really doing, not really focusing on actually what was going on in practice, more so am I getting better? Am I developing rhythm and chemistry with players or new players out there and know what to expect from them and understand what their strengths and weaknesses and what they like to do as a safety. You have to always be in tune to that, and that way you don't put them in compromising positions. Sometimes it still happens, but you want to make sure. That's what I said when Cunningham was out there on the wide receiver. That would have never happened with me at safety. That's just not going to happen. I'm going to put myself out there. You go back inside where you're best, and you're better than me, and they're playing the running game anyway. So that's why you're called a linebacker. So those are the things that I want to not have us put ourselves in matchups and then do it in practice and play freely when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about also more so making adjustments while I'm on the field without a coach telling me to do them, and then going to the side and say, hey, is that what you want us to do? If not, what do you want us to do in that situation if we have this, and this call? So there's more to the mental side from a safety perspective than just the athletic side, and making sure everybody lines up so you have the best chance of having success on that play, because it's so hard now to play defense. So you're always just trying to put your defense in the best position possible. So you're trying to work out all of those little kinks with every different call and every different kind of combination of routes or run games that is presented to you. So, yeah, it was always – I loved it because I love cat and mouse and playing chess and playing those games and showing one thing one day and thinking I'm going to do the same thing the next day. I'm going to do totally different lineup in the same spot. So you got to play those kind of games in practice. I'm sure that's what Bayer was doing there too as well. He said he was reading a quarterback. But they're only going to tell us so much. I'm sure they've been watching film and saw something and say, hey, when they do this all the time. So, yeah, when somebody comes in, somebody's coming out.
Well, Bayer did get him. He got Tannehill today. All right, here's what we're going to do. On the other side, again, we're at the Bridgestone Firestone Tower. Beautiful building, downtown Nashville. There's tires all around and Indy cars behind us. We're going to have Indy cars rolling through the streets of Nashville, just going around the pedal taverns this weekend.
Right,
it's going to be fun. Oh, yeah, those – dude, the big ones.
Man, that thing, if it fell down, that thing would knock me out.
Those are farm tires. That's my world.
Oh, that's on the tractor?
Oh yeah, that's a tractor tire back there.
Oh, okay. What tractor? What size is that, if you had to guess?
Oh, my gosh. Now, that I don't know.
I thought you knew tire sizes for tractors.
Well, I mean, I can't go. That goes on a 1586 International from, 1975.
See, I wouldn't know any better if you told me anyway. I don't know if you knew or not.
Oh, crap. I should have just made something up.
That's what you just did.
Oh, trust me. Well, yeah. No, well, I mean, I know what a 1586 is. I drove one of those.
Do they go by the even numbers or odd numbers? Do they have 87
or
90 or 92?
It's just whatever it takes.
Oh, okay.
Whatever it takes to make the tire world greener. There's some amazing stuff going on with Firestone.
The tires are going to be green?
Well, they're made green. Think about this. Looking at a plant, realizing that thing would be rolling on a race car. Amazing story. And Kristolek, who is a big part of all that with Firestone, will join us next. We'll get a look inside the curtain at the future of racing. Yeah, I said it. We'll be right back. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
Yeah.
You know it's life in the fast lane this weekend in Nashville. One of Blaine's greatest hits as he sings
That was the
along.
right song, wasn't it?
That was very nice.
I got it right that time.
Oh,
Okay.
that was very nice. We're live from the Bridgestone Firestone Tower in downtown Nashville today. Such a cool place. I've driven past this, I can't tell you how many times, but never come in today. Such a neat facility and a great company that's such a big part of Nashville. And then they bring this great sport, IndyCar racing, along with Big Machine. And suddenly we got cars doing 180 in the streets of Nashville. And you think, well, that's a big responsibility. Think about the tires these cars run on. Well, who makes those tires? Oh, it's a secret, but it's not anymore. Kristolek joins us now. Okay, she needs a business card the size of a billboard.
I do.
Let's do this. Director of Race, Tire Engineering and Production, Firestone Racing's chief engineer. She oversees the entire race tire production process from product design and development through manufacturing and management. And how about this? Was the first female chief engineer in IndyCar history. As Blaine said, why did they send such a smart person to talk to us ding-dongs?
Hey, I love teaching people.
Well,
It's
they
all
needed to
good.
make our show smarter, so they said, how about you go down there, you could help these guys out. I guess talk about, listen, the title there, Director of Race Tire Engineering and Production, kind of take us through the process of what that is actually like, because as we are consumers, we just see the tires, the finished product. I'm sure there's a lot that goes into that, and then these tires that they're going to have for I guess racers, they're going to be the Waiuli.
Yeah, you got it right.
I got it
Waiuli.
right.
Very good.
Yeah, they helped me
We
out
may
there.
have
They spelled it
practiced.
out there. Yeah, so kind of take us through all of that.
Sure. So I have the pleasure of leading the team that does all of the design, development, and manufacturing for all of the series that Bridgestone or Firestone races in the United States, the biggest of which being IndyCar. And we are here this weekend, a beautiful weekend. We're hoping the rain holds off for this Music City Grand Prix, and we're super excited about it. The team that has done all the design and development and manufacturing, some of those team is out here with us. We have engineers, chemists, compounders. These are teammates that travel with the race series to make sure the tires are running within our specifications. We monitor the tires as they're out there, and we work with the teams to make sure they can get the best performance out of their Firestone tires. So we do a little bit of everything from the ideas of how can we change tires next year because things in the car are going to change, to making sure we introduce new technologies, whether it's trying to help get data on the broadcast or trying to have something like a Waiuli race tire.
So what is this E8? What does that mean?
So this is our E8 commitment. This is a commitment that Bridgestone has made facing the community, and it's talking about the different initiatives, emotion, energy, ecology, all of the things that are really important for us as a society to be able to move forward, and how Bridgestone adds to that. So if you look at what we do in motorsports, there's a lot of emotion in what we do. In ecology, we want to make sure what we're doing is good for the planet. It's good for the community, good for the planet. There's enablement. There's a lot of different facets of that E8 commitment.
You just made me think of, this may never happen. This is kind of outside the box for me, and I'm not in this industry. But I'm going to say this. If they start having electrical vehicles being driven or not driven by race car drivers, how would that change maybe even how tires performance is? Naturally, then you have to go into the cars and what they're driving, or maybe they're assisted in the driving at times.
Yeah, those are all things that we as Bridgestone are looking at. So we want to be able to support a connected, shared, autonomous vehicle future. So we're working on making sure we develop our tires not just for you and I that are driving the tire, but for an autonomous car, for an electric car. If you think about electric car, there's a whole lot more torque, so you have to be able to handle different kinds of inputs that you would have. And you have things like, right, with an autonomous car or even with an electric car, you don't have a lot of noise, so you have to make sure you control tire noise. So there's a lot of different engineering concepts that have to go in to help us develop tires for the future of the automobile industry.
There you have it there, Mickey.
All right, so Kristolek, our guest, again, Director of Race Tire Engineering and Production. So I was there, anytime they're like, okay, you're going to have this person on, you're going to interview this person. First thing we was like, okay, how do we say her last name? So I thought, I'm going to find it. So I found a video of you getting interviewed and found some other interviews you had done in the past. You didn't necessarily grow up around racing. And then when you sat down, Blaine asked you about your background, you said, oh, we're scientists, like literally
Yes.
rocket scientists in your family.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's like NASA.
True.
Well,
I was like, really?
Just
Oh,
NASA.
Oh, okay.
Just like Graham earlier, no big deal, 180.
180
I
miles
was out of trouble
NASA.
just for NASA Waiuli.
And then you go to Akron, and you said, I as part of engineering and as part of what I was studying, I go into the shop and they're building this open-wheeled race car, and it sounded like then, I mean, for people who are fishing, it sounds like you were hooked.
Yes, absolutely. And the moment I actually got to get in the car and drive the car, I was like, all right, what do I need to do to be able to be paid to do this for my career?
So race fans are so knowledgeable. And anytime a race ends, if somebody has flat or a couple different cars have tire issues, immediately everybody runs to Twitter and they're tire experts. Everybody's a tire expert. After every NASCAR, Indy, every race, every fan knows all about tires. I would imagine race fans being as knowledgeable as they are, you probably have some interesting interactions with people as you travel the world and do what you do.
Yeah, certainly. Anywhere from the drivers, you have drivers that have scientific backgrounds, and so they understand how tires work. You have drivers that have just grown up driving, and they understand what the feel of the car is, and maybe not so much about the tires. So there's an education portion of them. But yes, of course, there's people. I was at an event with my church last weekend, and somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, I hear that somebody said something about the tires last weekend." And I was like, "Really? Do I know you?" Brand new person, and we just started chatting, and he told me he was a big IndyCar fan, and we just started talking over that.
So what's the process like? They'll finish racing here this weekend. Obviously, they'll all change tires, and we can get into that because you were telling Blaine and me they have a primary tire and a secondary tire. We need to talk about all this stuff because it's fascinating. But at the end of any particular race, how many tires do you and your department, and I'll use the word harvest for lack of a better word, and take them to a lab somewhere and say, what can we do better?
Well, I like the idea of harvesting. I'm going to use that.
I'm
I like
a farmer.
I like the farm
You did
theme.
learn
It's
something
good.
from us.
It's
I'm a
good.
farmer.
It's
There you
good.
go.
Where we harvest the tires.
Yes.
We actually, for especially super speedways and ovals, we take every right side tire back to Akron with us, and we do the analysis back at our labs in Akron, Ohio. So we're looking at the tires, we're looking at structural integrity, we're looking at how did the compound wear, what can we learn from this tire going into next year's race. So, and in the road course tires, we take a fewer amount of them. So from Nashville we'll bring a few sets back, and we'll do some analysis in the lab. And then once we're done with those tires doing our lab analysis, they actually go to a facility over in Indianapolis that makes alternative fuel. And the interesting thing about that is actually part of it goes back to power the city of Indianapolis. So kind of a neat full circle thing for us.
It is. Kristolek, our guest with Firestone. And when you see the tires rolling, you now know the lady who helps create and make those tires with her team.
Yeah, super smart. So naturally, I have to ask you then if some young kids, internships or anything like that, what kind of recommendation if they wanted to get into this field, what would you recommend them to start studying, and whether it's in high school, college, or have interest in to kind of go into what you're doing naturally, as a mentor?
Great question. We have all kinds of people that will come out to the racetrack and say, hey, I'm interested in something in science. Can we talk? So what my recommendation would be to talk to people that are in the field. So if you're younger, do your parents have friends that are in science, or even what are people that are out on social media? I know I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, my daughter is interested. Can we meet at Mid-Ohio? Can we meet at Nashville? And I have got a lot of like long-term mentoring relationship with some of these young ladies. One of them came up to me when she was in high school, and I've followed her throughout her career, and she's an engineer at Harley-Davidson now. So I would say talk to people, talk to your parents. Do your parents have friends that do something like this? Ask your teachers, your guidance counselors, but I would say be persistent. Don't be shy about asking people about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. So ask people about themselves. Ask people either online, find people, just whatever it was. If you want to do racing, if you want to be a surgeon, whatever you want to do, find people that do that and ask them about it.
Well, I wanted to ask you about a tire that I actually currently own. I don't want to put the name out there, but it has this foam in it, and every time I hit a bump, I'm getting a flat. So can you tell me about what's the difference between a regular tire and a foam tire?
I'm gonna tell you to put a Bridgestone on it.
Well, that's what I've done every time I had to go buy another one. But
he's going to leave with one of these here on the ceiling today. We're going to swing up there and get one.
I think that farm tire might be a little bit too big for your car. I don't know what you drive, but I'm thinking it might be too big.
I think I wanted to get him, ratchet it up a little bit.
Yes, that's right. Well, I would watch where you're driving. If you're having don't drive over nails.
Have you seen these chuck holes?
Oh my goodness, yes I have. But I'm from Akron, Ohio, so I know chuck hole. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess talk a little bit about, do you guys have somewhat similar tires? And I know every tire is fit for certain things. Naturally, we're talking about racing. But, just talk about, in general, conventional tires for our sake of all of our listeners.
Yeah, so you can buy Bridgestone and Firestone tires to fit almost every vehicle out there. I have a lovely set of Bridgestone RE71Rs on my Audi that I love. There's lots of different tires out there. There's a Firestone Complete Auto Care stores, or any of our Firestone dealer network will be able to hook you up with the right tire. Other important thing is to make sure you're looking at tread depth, making sure you can put a penny, and making sure you can't see Lincoln's head through the tread. So having tires that have tread is important. Checking your tires, inflating, making sure every couple times that you put fuel in your car that you inflate the tires properly. Usually, if you open up the door and on the door jamb, there's usually a little placard there. You can find your proper tire inflation pressure. And the other thing is to rotate your tires, making sure you don't leave them on one position and that's where they stay, because they're going to wear unevenly if you do that. So rotate, inflate, and evaluate.
I have to ask you this. I won't mention who your competitors are, but do you always try to keep up with what they're doing or not and try to outdo them? How does, in this field of tires, does it work like other fields in your comparison and trying to make sure you're always beating them to the punch?
Yeah, I think as any successful business, you have to look at not only what your competitors are doing, but what people that are not your competitors are doing. We're looking at the tire industry, but what are people in the automotive industry doing? What are people in other areas of the world doing? What is Amazon doing? What can we be learning from different companies? So yes, we do look at our competitors, but we also look at the people around us and see how do we keep evolving Bridgestone to be a better and better company that serves the society around us.
Kara Kristolek, our guest with Bridgestone Firestone. So we hinted at this. When people watch the race, the primary, the secondary, tell them what tires that they'll see on the cars tearing through these streets of Nashville.
Sure. So unlike Indianapolis, which you're really familiar with, our tires here at Nashville and all of our road and street courses, we have what we call a primary tire and an alternate tire. So first of all, every tire on the car is different, even though the left front and the right front look like they're the same size, they're made out of the same mold and everything. You wouldn't want to swap the tires. They're designed and engineered specifically for the corner they're on.
Is that why you said you only do the right tire? Earlier, I thought you said that.
No, we do all the tires. Yep,
okay,
all good.
Well, for your evaluation.
For my evaluation.
You said the
yes,
right
yes,
tires.
yes,
I'm
yes,
listening to it. I'm
yes,
like, I
yes,
wonder why the right tire.
Yeah. So on the right tires, the ovals, because that's where all the load goes. So you have all of the load going onto the outside tires if you're always turning left, so they get more of the work, they get more of the load and more of the heat. So yes, that's why the right tire. So on an oval, they're very different than the left side constructions. So here we have different tires on each corner, and then every team will get a certain amount of primary sets, and then they'll get this alternate set. So normally our alternates have a red sidewall, and that just differentiates the fact that it has a different tread compound, so that where the rubber meets the road, that's the tread compound. That tread is a different, so the primary tire is nice and consistent from the first time Graham Rahal puts his lap on to the very last lap. It should be pretty close to the same speeds, but when he puts in his alternate, the Firestone alternate tires, he's going to be quicker than anybody else that's on primaries, and then those lap times are going to drop off. So it adds some racing strategy and some excitement. Not everybody is doing the same thing, because now everybody has something a little bit different. Either they have primary tires or alternate tires, and then when they put them on can change race strategy. So it makes it really exciting to watch. It just gives another variable to make the racing interesting and to try to promote passing.
Wow. And the green sidewall, the alternate, is the one that's made from the Waiuli plant.
Yes.
Right?
So this weekend, instead of having the Firestone red sidewalls, you're actually going to see a Firestone green sidewall. And that green sidewall is basically just to demarcate and to let us know that sidewall is actually derived from Waiuli rubber. So instead of being from a tree that's grown in Southeast Asia that has to be shipped from there into the U.S. to be able to be built into our tires, now we're using rubber that's from a shrub that can be grown anywhere in the Southwest. So if you think of the Southwest, you think it's hot, they're having drought issues. This is a very resilient crop. It's
So I can grow it in my backyard?
I'm not sure about here. Maybe. I know we couldn't grow it in Akron because we have too much
cost all over the place.
We've got too much frost in Akron. In fact, I was going to try to see if I could grow one there, but we've got a lot of frost cycles there. Here, I think areas where there is a drought, things like that, it's a very resilient crop. So places that might be growing, let's say alfalfa, cotton, something like that, this takes about 50% of the water resources needed, so you can grow it pretty efficiently. So it's a good crop, especially for areas that are pretty drought heavy or pretty warm. So those are good things for about the Waiuli, and plus now we only have to bring it from Arizona or other places into Akron to have it processed and be able to put it into our race tires.
So if somebody rolls by this building on a minivan, how much of your technology eventually winds up on the tires of that, Dodge minivan that rolls by?
So the loads and speeds, they're not going to be going 100 miles per hour, 180 miles per hour here.
I've seen
some of these miles we roll.
I don't know. I think I saw somebody doing 240 miles per hour turning onto 4th Street. That might have been Mario, though. I can't tell you.
Go pick up the other kid, man. They gotta get there.
Got places to go. So there's a lot of technology that does transfer, and that's what we're doing with Waiuli. So we talk about racing being the ultimate proof point for our technology. So what you see on the racetrack eventually makes its way into what you and I drive. Waiuli is a great example. We're not quite there yet to be able to be fully scaled to be able to put it into our passenger tires, but we're getting there. So this is a great step along the way. 2030 is when we expect to have this industrialized, so we're going to have a lot more crop grown, and we'll be able to see it more in tires by then. But we're working on projects behind the scenes that are putting these into passenger tires and testing them there. But you'll see its debut here in racing, so it's really great. It was even a Harvey Firestone that coined the phrase, win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
Okay. Well, one final question for me before we let you go is kind of a predicting type question. That is, in 2030, since you mentioned that date, where do you think the tire industry, just from the common man, person, or woman, would look at a tire? Would it be different?
Yeah, so for here at Bridgestone at 2030, we will have 40% of our tires will be made from renewable sources. So we talk about material circularity here. So recyclable, renewable content.
Everything.
So it's a journey that we're trying to get to by 2050, have 100% sustainable content in our tire, and then at that point also be carbon neutral. So we have some pretty lofty goals, and by 2030 we want to make sure we're well on the way there. So we're doing a lot within racing to push those limits of what we can do, and it's great to see racing used as such a great platform to showcase our technology.
Teair, Kristolek, all right, we would just ask if you go to church with her, let her finish the potluck on Sunday afternoon without asking her any horrible racing questions. Just let her enjoy her time at church. This weekend's going to be great. We love Firestone in this town, Bridgestone. This is such a cool thing to have another major league sport here, and very cool to know that we know the person who makes the tires go on all the cars now. So
awesome, thank you.
We know a Firestone celebrity.
So thanks for
now.
giving me your cell. So now I'll be texting you all the time for some tires.
He's going to be trying to get
Have
a good
another
deal
tire
on tires. When we come back, a Titans defender had his best day according to his head coach. Well, I asked his position coach about this player before practice. We'll tell you who, and you'll hear all about this person next on Blaine and Mickey. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Man, this has been a fun day. Very fun to have Kristolek on, who literally is the first female.
She's the tire woman.
Chief engineer. She's the tire lady.
Yeah.
All the IndyCar tires that you see, they
Bridgestone,
all
Firestone.
come through her and her office on these Indy cars. This full racing weekend is just going to be fantastic.
She was a scientist, too, though.
Yeah.
She was up talking about NASA and everything else. I'm like, oh, man.
Yes, I found an interview with her. She said, I didn't grow up around racing at all. I just went to Akron, and I was a scientist. And
Mac action again.
I know, it's all Mac
Zips.
action. She said, I walked into in one of these labs, and they were essentially building an Indy car, and it was like then she knew what she was going to do.
Man.
Rashad Weaver knows what he wants to do. He wants to play defense for the Titans. Mike Rabel said after practice today, Weaver had his best practice, and it's ironic because assistant coaches were available this morning. Ryan Crow came out, who's the coach of the outside linebackers, and there were a group of us there. We asked him his thoughts on Rashad Weaver, who's coming off an injury last year.
Right, he broke his leg, right?
Yeah, had a major injury. Coming back from that and how he's doing, getting acclimated in training camp in year number 2.
And not only mastering the craft and understanding of the playbook, but watching other people and how they do it and what they've done. So he's done a really good job this camp. He's using his tools, his length, much better, and he's progressing.
How has he been just as far as, after the injury, now he's able to get on the field? I know you guys without pads, you still practice hard, but in pads and getting that contact.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for him. Is we wanted to get him in pads, get him thumping and rolling, and he's taking strides every day. I'm really proud of his progress, and we'll continue to see how it plays out the rest of camp.
Because of his size, is he a guy you could get some of that Danico type versatility from?
He's got the size. We'll see. How we want to kind of pair those and kind of make the plan going forward. But he's certainly a guy that kind of falls in the bucket of that size.
Rashad Weaver, he's an interesting-looking guy, Blaine. I know you've seen him. Real tall, long, but he's thick. He reminds me physically of Derek Morgan. When I see him, it makes me think of Derek Morgan.
Yeah, well, it's good he's doing well. I'm interested to see once you start going against different, players from other teams. Everything now is so positive from players and coaches, and so I'm waiting now for the time to let's move forward and let's see who can make some errors, who missed tackles, who drops the ball. Now it's trying to get to that point where we want to see something. Right now, everybody to me is looking pretty good. There's no somebody's doing horrible. Nobody's out there doing bad. Even some young guys who don't have a lot of experience or it's their first training camp. I think they've assembled a really good unit and competitive unit from first 2 strings to even the third, and if you want to call it fourth, depending on your position. Even competition at punting. So I would be interested to see right now at this point what veteran player should be taking notice. Yeah, and when I say that, I'm talking about what veteran player now, I'm about to be in for a battle. And that whether you're a starter and it's because of the third string guy may be looking really good, and that's going to push the second string guy to starter, and this is how it all works. And then we can cut some cash flow because, hey, sure, we can move on even though you're still a really good player. So I'm interested to see what player as a veteran now may be in jeopardy with the competition that they brought in assembling this roster and JR and Vrabel and crew. So, yeah, I think that's where I'm at right now because that's what the veteran players are now starting to look at. They know they can play in this league, and they know what they can do. They know the things that they can't do, and they know the things they need to improve on. Well, what does the organization say just from a framework of salary cap and money, or are you worth the money that you're making?
The other guy, and I had written down my notes, good day for Racey McMath. He continues to just what Coach Mack says, stack days. He's stacking days where we keep talking about him and, who's going to be the number 5 or 6 receiver on this team. It feels like there's a whole bunch of guys who are maybe battling for that last receiver spot. Rob Moore, again, one of the Titans' assistants, spoke today, got asked specifically about Racey McMath. Here's Coach Rob Moore, the receivers coach.
He's playing with a lot of confidence, and I think the biggest thing that Racey has done is he's realized that there's not a whole bunch of 6'3", 230-pound receivers that can run 4.3. He's learned to play with that speed and really impose his will on defenders, and he's reaping the rewards for that now.
With Traylon
It's funny to hear Rob Moore say that. It's like, I think he just realized how big and how fast he is, and there aren't many of him. That's a big, fast dude.
Right.
And he's
no doubt. And he did the same thing. He was behind a great I saw him play in college, even at LSU, when I went to the Mississippi State game. I wanted to see Burrow play, and he was just really a vertical threat, special team guy because they had Jefferson and Chase, and they had some, really big-time weapons. I think now he's coming in camp, and I think it's even more about than just confidence. I think now he understands where he fits. He's worked on his route running ability. I'm going to say this right now. I don't see how he's not on the team. I really don't. I've been out there one time. I've watched a lot of people talk about him. When I went out there one day, I had no idea I was going to be watching him, and that's who stood out that day. We're talking about out of an entire practice. So, and he plays special teams.
Right.
So that's going to be his little caveat. Where does Des Patrick fit, fit in that equation? Where does Malone fit in that equation? Because we're talking about now battling for that last spot. Well, then I would say McMath wouldn't make it. He may make it over even another position group guy. It could be a defender guy, but he can play special team and do what they do because of his size and his speed. So I think right now, from what I've seen early in camp, I don't think there's a way he's not on the roster. Yeah, so some people better start taking notice. Yeah, like the people who he's fighting against, they better start turning it up. And specifically receiver. Yeah, and after the top three, we're talking about Burks, Woods, and NWI. After that, hey, it's up for grabs. I can't say anybody's a lock.
Maybe Kyle Phillips, fifth-round pick, so he's got that on his side at least.
He got that on his side, and he's got return ability.
Right.
So that's going to help him. Then where do you go after that? Where are you going?
Right now you're going number 13 because he's having a real good camp, and like you said,
he plays
special teams. And was noted for that at LSU.
And Malone still continue, even with the pads on, has shown solid.
He has.
He's been, he may not give you some wild plays, but you can see him out there. He's still doing the exact same things he was doing, probably just not as much. He's not getting the opportunity, but you can see him open out there. So it's going to be a heck of a battle for the back end of the roster receivers. They really elevated that competition, and I think everybody has risen their game because of it. Naturally, Burks coming in shape and looking like he's the real deal kind of changed everything, so I'm happy about that. Good kid. I knew he would go put in the work, but he had to go out here and prove it, and now that's not even, a conversation piece about him.
No, he looks like he's
yeah, his wingspan, his catch radius, he's been working on his route. He's in shape. Yeah, I expect him, 700 yards. Yeah.
Vegas over-under was 800 and a half, 800.5. 800 and then a half a yard.
Oh, I'm going to go above then. So if that's what Vegas said?
That's where they said it. You feel, after watching this dude, and here's the thing, we keep saying this.
I love his demeanor about him. Okay.
And he's versatile. There's lots of ways they could use that rascal, and maybe they'll do that. That would be fantastic if they did. All right, there's no more ways for us to use this show because it's over.
Because we're versatile.
We are versatile. We're so versatile that we've got to get out of here. Thanks to Bridgestone Firestone for being such fantastic hosts. Make sure to watch the race this weekend.
Yeah, and my man Justin, who was out here watching this whole entire time, man. Appreciate it. Long time Blaine and Mickey fan at 104.5.
Long time Blaine Bishop fan and helping us stay on the air today, as I understand it. We appreciate him. Appreciate all of you. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. 3HL's coming up next.
In the meantime.
In between time.
Peace.